Well, we just had a number of documents drop in the Marilyn Manson defamation case. They were filed in court by his attorneys, and of course, this is his defamation lawsuit against Evan Rachel Wood and Illma Gore. Now, I thought that some of the revelations in this latest batch of documents were just really astounding. And I already did a video on what I thought were some of the more shocking aspects, and you can look below, see I've linked to it. But there were just a number of things that I thought surely the media, even though I know the media are totally biased against Manson and in the can for Evan Rachel Wood, just like they were for Amber Heard, I thought surely someone is going to see that there is some interesting shit here and they're going to report on it. But not really. And I guess that is a testament to the sign, that is a sign or a testament to how much the media just are in total denial of the fact that Manson has a very compelling case against Evan Rachel Wood and that this is another Amber Heard style hoax, except it is a 2.0 on a bigger scale hoax than what Amber Heard did. And if you're curious about that, look at some of the other videos I've done. I talk about that. But here's the thing. I was so irritated this morning to wake up and to see that not only was Radar Online the only one who picked up the more interesting, significant aspects of this story, of this latest legal filing. And good for them for doing that, but they were like the only one. And not only were they the only one, but I saw that there were all these bullshit stories in the media about Marilyn Manson being washed up and, oh, Marilyn Manson is moaning about his career being over, and just basically a lot of people in the media and these articles dancing on Marilyn Manson's grave or thinking that they're dancing on Marilyn Manson's grave. Although I have news for you, he's still very fucking popular. His music is still doing very well. His albums have been doing well for a long time. I'm not a Marilyn Manson fan, but I've looked into his career enough to see that he was not washed up, okay? It's just that he got hit in the fucking face with this gigantic Me Too Amber Heard style hoax, and it's taken him some time to get his bearings, but now he's fighting back, and now the truth is starting to come out, and it doesn't really matter how much you suppress the truth, mainstream media, because some of us are going to keep reporting on it, and when this trial hits, whether probably in the spring, whether it's going to be televised or it's not going to be televised, we're going to get the word out. The word will get out on the truth on this. But I want to look at what I thought was probably the most obnoxious article that's come out this week maybe that's come out in a long time about Marilyn Manson. And it's not just the title of the article that I hate, but the article itself. First of all, it's terribly written. You couldn't pass ninth grade English with this article. I mean, there are just some basic grammatical mistakes and punctuation mistakes. And I mean, it's just a crappy article. And so I think it's kind of interesting to write an article that is so poorly written and that the gist of that article is trying to point out, how someone else is failing. Well, I'm sorry, but you, the writer, have failed in this article. Let's look at this. So it says, this is in Metal Sucks, by the way, which is an apt title for this publication because I do think it sucks. All right. But Metal Sucks says, washed up shock rocker upset his career in the gutter following sexual abuse allegations. So, one aspect of the recent legal filings by Marilyn Manson's team, just one aspect of it, was discussing the damage that has been done to Marilyn Manson's career and his life and his relationships and all kinds of things due to these false allegations and this hoax. And this is continuing from filings that his team provided in July when Marilyn Manson, Brian Warner, provided a detailed statement of all that he's been through because of this. Not dissimilar to what Johnny Depp has been through, all right? So if you understand the Johnny Depp case, yes, I know there's some differences, but there are also, generally speaking, a lot of similarities. You understand what Marilyn Manson has been through and continues to go through. So yeah, so that's what they choose to focus on, but of course, not actually with any sympathy toward the fact that this man might be falsely accused or that he's innocent until proven guilty. No, they're just here to dance on his grave and rub it in, like schoolyard bullies. By the way, this is written by someone named Hesher Keenan. Hesher? God, what kind of issues did your parents have to come up with a pretentious name like that? I can only imagine. Hesher Keenan. I don't think that Marilyn Manson is washed up, that Ryan Warner is washed up. But I'm pretty sure that no matter what stage he's in his career, that he far surpasses whatever you have achieved professionally, Mr. Hesher Keenan, or whatever you will achieve. Particularly if this article is indicative of your writing ability and your cognitive ability, frankly, then you don't have much ahead of you. Were you laid off from Twitter recently and then Metal Sucks hired you? It says things have been pretty rough for Brian Warner, aka Marilyn Manson, ever since multiple allegations began hitting his career square in the face last year. But of course, this person is gloating over it. Hesher thinks it's great. Hesher. With multiple lawsuits proceeding through the court system, he's had his home raided by authorities and may have even forced him to find a little. Oh, this was one of the big writing errors. It says his home was raided by authorities and may have even forced him. There's no subject there. Who may have forced him? Are you saying the authorities? Don't you think you probably need to have written that? So the authorities may have, I'm sorry, it's just hard to read this because it's so badly written. The authorities may have even forced him to find a little Jesus with his best friend and noted anti-Semite Kanye West. So, of course, they had to get that dig in there. I'm sorry, I still can't even actually understand this sentence, but you can read it yourself. But perhaps most importantly, the 53-year-old has-been shock rocker. I mean, who the fuck are you? Where do you get off calling somebody a has-been? What the fuck? I mean, again, like, I don't see any sign before this hoax that his career was in some great decline. In fact, his most recent album, the We Are Chaos, from what I've read, it got a ton of critical acclaim, was selling really, really well, and was it was a huge success. Okay, so I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, has been. Okay, that's the kind of thing this is, right? And so he details all the things that Manson has said. My career is in the gutter, receiving threats to his life. He says, oh, listen to this. Hesher says this, writes this. And while he shouldn't be receiving threats to his life since he hasn't formally been found guilty of anything yet. So I like this. So what Hesher is saying is he's basically saying that Manson is lying because Manson has asserted that he has received death threats. And Hesher is saying, well, he shouldn't have received death threats yet because he hasn't been formally charged. Because, we know, right, that people only send death threats if you've been formally charged in a court system. What is your IQ, Hesher? You were one of the people that Elon Musk laid off, right? Okay, so then it says, blah, 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 blah. A total of 15 women, including Evan Rachel Wood, Esme Bianco, Ashley Morgan Smithline, and a host of other borderline disordered women. Oh, wait, I added that. Never mind. And a host of other women used to be in his circle of influence have come out to accuse him of everything from blah, 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 blah. And he lists a lot of things that he's accused of. If even half of it is true, this dude's a fucking monster. So, that is the level of brilliant journalistic inquiry, insight, and insight that we're getting here, where this person just basically says, well, he's been accused of these things, so let's cut that in half. We'll take half of that and look at it, and oh, that half is still bad. He's a fucking monster. Yeah, that sounds like great deductive reasoning to me. According to new legal documents and that TMZ has seen, Manson claims that all the allegations have killed his chances to go on tour, caused him to lose 2 film and TV acting roles. He claims that his art is being devalued and his book release has been put on hold while the cases go forward. Yes, all of those things have happened and more. The man's life has been, I would say decimated, except actually, if you know the definition of decimated, that only means that a small portion of something has been destroyed, but actually obliterated is the term that I would use, and yet his music continues to sell really, really well, and there's still a ton of interest in him, right? It's like, despite the huge atomic bomb hit that he has taken from the media and from these hoaxers, he actually, he's still selling. But there are all of these things that are cut off for him now, that are all of these avenues that are closed to him. And he's not accepted in what's called polite society. And I know that sounds kind of like an oxymoron, almost the idea of Marilyn Manson wanting to get into polite society. But you know what? You do actually have to be somewhat accepted by people in order to get representation and to put together tours and to do all kinds of other things that he's saying he's not able to do now. Aside from the fact that just everywhere he goes, he's got all these people looking at him thinking that he's a rapist and an abuser and a horrible guy, and it's not true. Just like it wasn't true with Johnny Depp. So it says, back in May, it was reported that Manson might not even see charges leveled against him. God, the writing is so bad. Following the investigation. So only time will tell what comes of little Brian Warner. Little Brian Warner. I'm sorry, Hesher Keenan. I don't know what's going to happen in this situation or what's going to become ultimately of Marilyn Manson's career, but I am positive that little will never be an applicable way of describing him, and that certainly in comparison to a peon, a microscopic peon like you, he's definitely not little. Okay, so what are Hesher Keenan's brilliant parting shots for us? When you write an article, I used to teach English and taught a lot of writing classes. And when you write an article, you always want to come in really strong at the end, right? Because that's the final taste in people's, that you're leaving people's mouths or whatever, right? And so you want to be really, really strong, make a strong point, get a strong parting shot in, really seal the deal. So this is what he says. He says, just know, and he's talking to Manson here. He says, just know that if you fuck around and are found to be hurting other people as a result of your alleged shitty behavior, you're entitled to find the fuck out. Manson is entitled to find the fuck out. In other words, whatever shitty things happen to Marilyn Manson, clearly Hesher Keenan is just positive he's guilty and he deserves it. So Manson is entitled to find the fuck out. Well, let me tell you something, Hesher. You, as a supposed journalist, as someone who at least seems to be, cosplaying as a journalist or LARPing as a journalist or whatever, right, on this almost defunct, shitty website, Metal Sucks, as a pseudo-journalist or someone who's pretending to be a journalist, you might be interested to know that you too are entitled to find the fuck out. And in fact, that there is quite a lot for you to find the fuck out about this situation, because you got it completely wrong. So I would invite you, Hesher Keenan, to take a look at my channel and to learn about the truth, to find the fuck out, so that you don't continue to write these bullshit, snarky, ill-informed articles that only demonstrate to everyone that it is in fact you who are, I would say, washed up, except you never had success to begin with. And so what would you call that when someone is washed up but they never had success to begin with? Oh yes, a failure. Right. All right, everybody. Have a good day. Check out my stuff below. Marilyn Manson is innocent and he's not